Happy New Year's! Hi, I'm Matt from HeroClix, and it's the brand new year, 2015. So you know what that means? My allergies start acting up. It also means that people are releasing their best of 2014 videos. And I don't really have like a best Clix list of 2014, but what I do have is a list of characters from every set that came out in 2014 that are just really fun to play with. Now, they may or may not be like powerful figures, but they're just like really fun to play with. So I'm cheating a little bit with the first entry of my list, as AVX did not come out until the tail end of 2013. But this piece, I'm fairly certain, wasn't released until like the very beginning of 2014, because it was the participation prize, Black Panther. Now, I love this Panther a lot. He's got a lot of my favorite keywords, like martial artist, like scientist, and Avengers. So he gets put out on a ton of teams. He's got the special trait that lets you give willpower to any character within 4 squares that shares a keyword with him. I was once playing a martial artist team where my opponent outwitted Indom and a martial artist character that I had. And the very next turn, I was like, Black Panther, give him willpower. So he did, and I attacked again. He's also got a damage power that gives him empower, it gives him outwit, and it gives him leadership. And if he rolls a 6 for his leadership, he can pull a token off himself. So he's constantly doing stuff. He's like a great secondary attacker / support piece. Now, Black Panther's kind of fragile. He's got like a 17 defense with super senses, which I can barely roll on. Like, I'm no good with super senses. If you see a guy with super senses and I'm playing with him, he might as well be naked. You might as well just like, pow. But other than that, he's like just a great secondary attacker support piece. I've always said he's like the Marvel equivalent of Batman, because he's just got options for everything. Honorable mention for AVX would of course be Good Guy Magneto and the Professor X that looks like he wants to sell you a condo, aka Real Estate X. Now, the first official set of the year was Superman and the Legion of Superheroes, which has the awesome abbreviation Slosh, which sounds like a comic book sound, so like that's pretty cool right there. My favorite piece from that set was the uncommon Lex Luthor. The Legion of Doom was a great sub-theme for this set, and his other keywords, Injustice League and Scientist, means that Lex could put on a bunch of my teams. He's got this trait that says he cannot be outwitted, and that lower point adjacent friendly characters get the Superman enemy team ability. So while he lacks outwit outright, he gets to, with careful positioning, get rid of 2 or 3 of your opponent's powers. His starting click is Probability Control, 18 with Defend, Psychic Blast, and then he's got the special speed trait that gives him the wing symbol, it gives him Invuln, and then it gives him Running Shot. Now, he's kind of pricey, but he's always done more than his points worth with the damage to other characters, and anytime I've lost, he's always been the last figure on the field. Assuming that the Lex Luthor that comes out in Trinity War will be like more of a good Lex Luthor, this will be the Lex that I'll be using anytime I want to field a team of bad guys. Other honorable mentions for this set include both Riddlers, Stargirl, and if you haven't ran a Day and Night Hellspawn team, you really need to give that one a shot. For the Captain America Winter Soldier set, I'm going to say the Fast Forces Batroc. He is a martial artist, which is my favorite keyword, so he fits in well with all my Kung Fu teams. He's got Improvement Ignores Character, he's got Traded Lead Climb, and he's got Traded CCE. More importantly, his trait lets him use CCE as a close combat action, so he's the first person that can use Close Combat Expert and Charge at the same time. Beside that, his dial's okay. It does start with an 18, so that's kind of cool. And he does lack Indom. But there's a previously mentioned character that can give willpower to people with the martial arts keywords. Other honorable mentions from the set, Agent 13, the Fast Forces Black Widow, and the Gravity Feed Falcon. One of my favorite comics of last year was the Superior Foes of SpiderMan, and one of the stars, or at least a contributing factor of this comic book, was the Deadpool Super Rare Speed Demon. The key to his awesomeness is this trait that lets you potentially do additional damage while you're hypersonicking and place a character in a different spot, where conceivably your other click should just wail on that guy and just mess him up good. I've used him on a Sinestro Syndicate team where he was able to line people up to a direct line, which is really important because Amazing Spider-Man's Rhino took that direct line into a crazy charge, just mess people up worse. Another cool thing about this trait is that you can conceivably like do damage to a Mystic's character without triggering feedback, because it's not damage from an attack, which is really helpful when you're fighting like an amazing Spider-Man Ghost Rider. He's got the Sinestro Syndicate TA, which means he can share attack values, which is a lot of fun. And later on in his dial, he's got a special hypersonic that lets him make an attack twice during a hypersonic. And then he's got a special perplex that lets him double perplex up like any stat but damage for all friendly characters with the same keywords with him. So yeah, scientist keywords, ooh, yeah. Honorable mentions for this set include Shang-Chi, the Cat, Shroud. Did I mention that I like martial arts keywords? Dogpool, and Headpool. So I was never able to get the proper Nightcrawler from Wolverine the X-Men, and I was really glad to make up for it with Days of Future Past Nightcrawler. And this Nightcrawler is a beast to hit. He's got traded energy shield deflection and traded combat reflexes. I love running him with the Gravity Feed Colossus, who's got the 18 defense. So basically it bumps Kurt's defense up to a nasty, nasty 20. He's got this speed power that lets you face teleport, lets you carry, and then it potentially, depending on how far you move, gives you a free close combat attack. So you could theoretically grab that Colossus, move a couple of squares, punch a dude in the face, and then sit back with that 20 defense from Colossus and just be like, go ahead, try to smack me. And if that wasn't gross enough, he's got the special damage power, which can't be outwitted or ignored, so that lets you use prop control once per attack on Kurt. So if 3 dudes attack him, it's like prop control the first guy, prop control the second guy, prop control the third guy. And like I said, it's a 20 defense. So good luck with that. I hope you just roll spectacularly, because Nightcrawler is going to mess you up. Oh yeah, he is a martial artist too. So like that's double wow in my book. Honorable mentions from this set include Avalanche, include Pyro with a little flame construct, and then Uncommon Wolverine, which in my opinion is probably the most accurate Wolverine that we've got. Oh, Warlight. So much awesomeness. Also, so much of that stuff was too gross to be used without feeling like Jerky McJerks-a-lot. That's why I think one of the funnest pieces of War Life was the House Sinestro duo. First off, they start with this mini trait that gives them willpower, and then this ability to roll out of an opposing outwit or an opposing perplex, giving them sort of like a fake power cosmic. I mean, enough for me to be like, that's pretty cool. They also start with this special speed power that gives them running shot that lets them use the duo attack afterwards, as long as they just target different opposing characters. Which is not a problem, because they got 10 range, so they're probably going to be able to blast somebody. 2 somebodies. I guess like the awesomest thing though is the special attack power, which lets you pick like any standard attack power, that, provided you didn't pick that power last turn. So that's Pulse Wave, that's Penetrating Psychic Blast, that's Blade's Claws, I mean, that's Precision Strike. I mean, there's just a lot of options for you. And there's Poison. Once I was based by Despitalis, and I was like, pick Poison, did 1 damage to that sucker, got him off that gross 20 defense, and then just duo attack that sucker to Oblivion. He's got Starting Perplex, which they can use on their starting 19 defense with Impervious to bring that up to a 20 defense with Impervious, because they have a starting 12 attack and a starting 4 damage, and you probably do not need to buff those stats up none. And as a single-based duo figure, they can be TK'd and carried by the special carry power by the Green Lantern Guy Gardner Participation Prize. At 300 points, they're kind of pricey, but even at the 100-point level, they're pretty cool. Other honorable mentions from this set will include the pink and red Guy Gardners, because those guys are great, and the Blue Lantern Recruits, which are probably one of the best generics, and of course, Mad Shark's Aquaman. So why Chase movie Rocket Raccoon made me feel dirty, the super rare from Guardians of the Galaxy comic set is a lot of fun. He starts off with improved targeting, ignores elevation, which catches a lot of people off guard. He's tiny, and he pairs well with Groot, granting both of them +1 to their attacks while adjacent. He can shoot out of adjacency, and his energy explosion is pretty gross. Trust me, I've been on the receiving end of it. But I think what makes him the funnest piece in the set, he's got the special damage power, which I call Super Prob, because it lets you reroll things that regular Prob couldn't make you reroll. Hey, Super Senses? Go ahead and reroll that. Shape Change? Nah, reroll that. Anything that he can see? Nah, just reroll it. I think that really helps him is that he's got a 17 defense with Super Senses, so he's not impossible to hit like the Chase, and he's only got 5 pieces of life, so like a good hit's gonna mess him up pretty good, and I think that keeps him fairer. So like people have a reasonable chance of damaging this guy, so any poor positioning on your part, they have a chance to capitalize. Unlike that movie Rocket, and it's like, oh, hope for a miracle, bro. Other honorable mentions for this set include Thanos, who is kind of strong, but not unbalanced. The uncommon Captain Marvel, who is a blast, and the Wraths and the Dire Wrath Queen. As a DC fan, and I use the term like I use the term Star Wars fan, in that I have a preference for one, but I generally enjoy the rival. But as a DC fan, I'm pretty stoked that WizKids decided to not use the Flash set like they used Slosh set and try to rein in power creep. I mean, both of those sets are pretty good, but there was a seemingly disproportionate amount of 8 attacks and 15 defenses mingling it up in those dials. And especially after coming in after the great Wolverine and the X-Men sets and fun stuff like that, you're like, wow, thank you. But that was my fear, and luckily that fear was unfounded. WizKids did a good job surprising both me and a lot of people out there with some really great figures in this set. But I think one of them that really stood out as the funnest was the rare Zoom. He doesn't have the Speed Force trait that a lot of speedsters have, which I think works out favor for him because he got traded Shape Change. He's also got improved movement, ignores hindering, ignores elevated, which a lot of speedsters didn't get until they got a couple of tokens on him. His special attack power gives him precision strike against the highest pointed character on your opponent's force. Gives him +1 attack and damage against the lowest point figure on your opponent's force, and both bonuses against the last figure on your opponent's force. And this has been officially ruled by WizKids to do this. So like, yeah. But I think the thing that makes him really awesome is he's got a special damage power that gives you half a d6's worth of prob controls at the beginning of your turn. Some things that are working against him is that he starts with Super Senses as his defensive power in a set that basically handed Precision Strike out like Halloween candy. He's 150 points with no Indom, and that's kind of too pricey to not have Indom. But other than that, I think he's a really fun character. My biggest regret for this set is that it came in at the tail end of War of Light, so I didn't get to play with other characters as much as I'd like to. I haven't got a chance to play with the Harley Quinn, with a Rival. I haven't got a chance to play with Excess, who looks really fun with her I can carry you from wherever you're at kind of power. And I mean, there's just so much stuff that I wanted to play with still. But other honorable mentions for this set include Captain Cold, who's so much fun. The rare Wally, but I'm a Wally fanboy, so that's just what's going to happen. A whole bunch of Mirror Masters are a blast to play. And finally, Etrigan the Demon. He is a lot of fun to play as well. Alright, that has been my year-end review with some of the funnest pieces that I've played all year. Hopefully, your funnest pieces were mentioned in there, or if there's some other fun pieces that I didn't have a chance to play with, you wanted to make sure that I was aware of, please leave those in the comments below. Again, thank you for watching. This has been Matt with Heroic Tactics. I hope you had a great year last year, and I hope you have a great year this year too.